Granit's speech was perfectly natural. He didn't suggest for a moment that he was bluffing or, for that matter, meaning to insult him. He was just breezily declaring that Benimaru and his team were weak, a natural fact in his mind. Benimaru, fully aware that he had evolved into something stronger, never expected this sort of disrespect. Well, hear me out. What I mean is that as enemies of ours, you're on the strong side, certainly, but if you join us, you wouldn't be worth having your minds dominated. It looks like both Kondo and Yuki are under His Majesty's control now, but now he's taken over the mind of Servaldora as well. I doubt he has enough remaining force to add all of you to the list, so if you swear loyalty to him, I'm sure he'll allow you to move freely. After all, even if all of you challenged me at once, you still wouldn't be able to beat me. You certainly aren't lacking in confidence. But I'm just as confident in my own strength, you know. And I'm getting kind of sick of hearing all your nonsense, so how about we see which side is correct via actions, not words. Benimaru readjusted the sword on his shoulder. He thought he could get some more useful information, but concluded that any more of this would just make him more agitated. Granit gave this a displeasured sigh. You monsters are so hard to deal with, you know. I'm extending a hand to you, and you're just pushing it away. It's sad that you can't see the reality of this, but oh, well. I'll give on trying to win you over, then. Perhaps I could negotiate with whoever just defeated Minaza. Benimaru snickered. Better not. Sean's more hard-headed than I am. This made Granit's countenance grow stern for the first time in this whole encounter. Oh, I don't believe I mentioned Minaza to you. Do you know who she is? Well, intelligence gathering is a key part of any war zone, isn't it? Sir Rimuru taught me to be thorough about that sort of thing. Interesting. But how did you get that information inside Lady Velgren's dimension here? It really would be a shame to kill a man of your stature. Saying this, Granit finally drew his sword. He had a skilled hand for any weapon, but always felt better with a familiar sword in his hand. The moment he held it up to Benimaru, his mood changed completely. His previously calm demeanor vanished entirely, and he radiated an air of supremacy that'd give even a god ogre a run for their money. His short hair stood up on end, as if personifying the expression hair-raising havoc. Ask not the sparrow how the eagle soars, an expression from an old history book from another world, if I recall correctly. It means that the little people cannot understand the thoughts of the greats, and that describes you to a T. You should have obeyed me while I was being gentler in my advice. You're still lecturing me. Because I've had quite enough of it. Then die. Army Destroyer. Quicking Blast. From the very first move, Granit was unleashing his maximum power, fully convinced that would be the end of it. He was gifted in enemy analysis, capable of discerning the combat ability of his opponents via read enemy status, a skill granted to him by Lidora via alternate. That gave him a correct grasp of the power of Benimaru and his team, and that was why he was convinced there was no way he could be defeated. Read enemy status wasn't foolproof, of course. If the target had awakened to an ultimate skill, it'd be impossible to gauge their full power. Still, it was easy enough to guess the level of power involved simply by gauging magicule counts. And in that respect, Benimaru didn't look like a threat. Neither, for that matter, did Zoe, Xian, or the demons. It was clear to Granit that not one of them could have acquired an ultimate skill. The primals were a thorn in their side. Negotiating with them was a fool's errand. He planned to do away with the demons if they had come through this gate, but instead he got Benimaru. In this, Granit saw great promise, an enterprising monster on the verge of discovering his ultimate skill. But as he stood, he was no match for himself. He had a huge amount of magicules, but still less than half of Granit's. In that way, it was natural for him to decide Benimaru was no threat. And Granit wasn't being conceited or careless at all. If the enemy held an ultimate skill, that might give him a hard time, depending on the nature of it. An extended fight could lead to his enemy feeling like his life was in danger, which could trigger an awakening. But a mere conversation wasn't going to do that. So Granit was determined to finish Benimaru off with such overwhelming force that he wouldn't be able to counter with anything. He knew Benimaru didn't have any hidden transformation skill like the lycanthropes, and now that he did, there was absolutely no chance of losing. Granit's victory was a certainty. What a travesty. After all that bravado, you're not showing me much. Well, what? Then something truly unexpected happened. Army Destroyer. Quaking Blast, a move that contained enough energy to vaporize Benimaru, was harmlessly parried off by his sword. It was a truly unbelievable sight to behold. All of Granit's equipment was God class, from head to toe. Benimaru clearly wielded a good sword, but it couldn't have held up to God class gear. And more to the point. No. This is unreal. Why? Why have you obtained an ultimate skill? Granit's shouting was understandable. The idea of someone obtaining an ultimate skill without showing even the tiniest sign in advance was sheer lunacy. It threw him into a panic, even though Benimaru remained cool. Why are you so amazed? Aren't all of us constantly growing in life? He tried to sound all cool about it, but on the inside, he was sweating it badly. He had, in fact, obtained this power at the exact moment he stepped up to stop Granit's blade. And right when he did, he got a glimpse of his full power. If his timing was even a little off just now, Benimaru would have taken terrible damage. He could have died, even. It was certainly nothing to laugh about. That was a close call. I didn't think he was hiding his full abilities that much, but without this power, I would have lost, huh? Good thing, he now thought, that he put up with that story for so long. Right. Now it's my turn. Mentally shifting gears, Benimaru focused on his enemy. He was glad to survive that in the end, but he could reflect on that later. The power he had just acquired was exactly the ideal he had envisioned, so he wasted no time breaking it out, as free and easy as if he was taking a breath. This was the ultimate skill of Amaterasu, Lord of Shimmering Flame of fearsome force, based on the information seal obtained by analyzing Valgrant. His beloved sword Gurren took on a black glow, the dark haze of heat that now symbolized his authority. This was both a literal haze and a representation of being fully impossible to hit no substantial form. Something that cannot be burned, frozen, or cut open. That, and it had one more meaning: the light of the sun, a superheated flame. To this magical flame was added Benimaru's swordsmanship, and not even he could imagine how powerful that made him. Granit, for his part, had fully lived up to his God of War nickname. Although shocked for a moment, he immediately calmed himself and began searching for his enemy's weak points. Benimaru now had far fewer magicules, a potential side effect of acquiring an ultimate skill. He remained a force that your typical demon lord would be helpless against, but his magic level was only about a third of Granit's. This unknown new force was a threat, but by his reckoning, another full-throated strike could overcome it. "Don't mess with me, monster," he shouted. "I'm not going to hold back next time. You're about to face every ounce of my might." In the Imperial army, Granit's brute strength was second only to Valgrant's. He was stronger than Damrata, even, and likely an even match with Kondo. That remained just as true now. But there was a good reason why he was entrusted with guarding the door. He just never had a chance to get fully serious in battle. Now he was summoning all his might to crush Benimaru. Die. Army Destroyer. Quaking Blast. It was the same technique as before, but on a far greater level. Raging spirit gushed out of him, discharging in the form of lightning bolts in the air. But they harmlessly passed through Benimaru. Nothing could catch the heat haze. There was a roaring sound. Something had happened not in this space, but some other realm. Career. Of all the terrible things to do. Benimaru's mind was filled with vivid images of what Carrera had done. He didn't need to go through Moss for it. After acquiring Amaterasu, Lord of Shimmering Flame, he was able to see whatever those serving him could, as long as they were connected to Rimuru via Soul Corridor. It gave him a picture-perfect view of Carrera's skills. "Let me show you something real special. I've only just seen it myself, but, well, let's give it a whirl." Wah. Granit couldn't react. Benimaru's attack had just cut him into tiny pieces that were charred by the time they reached the ground. Perhaps Benimaru was the most terrible of all. He truly moved like a haze off a hot road. Amaterasu, derived from Valgrant's own abilities, included the skill Dominate Heat, which accelerated his body. Using that, he could release his sword slash at truly divine speed. Although it wasn't quite up to cardinal acceleration levels, it was an invincible skill, powerful and fast. It is called Cresswater Darkflame 100 Flower Bloom. Not that you're around to hear that, but... With that side comment, Benimaru turned away, a refreshed expression on his face. Granit truly was strong, calculating, well-prepared, and in tip-top fighting condition. His defeat was caused, in so many words, by bad luck. If there was any mistake he made, it was violating the tried and true credo of striking the enemy, while you can still defeat them. Benimaru vowed not to repeat Granit's error in his mind.